Hello, and welcome to League of Josh podcast. My name is Joshua, and I'm your host. Today's episode was recorded on June 9th, 2021. In this episode, I sit down with Cazden Cote. We have a discussion about creative endeavors focused around his passions for music and film. We discuss what makes a movie good and what makes a movie great, how we project ourselves onto our art, and the state and direction of Hollywood. I had a ton of fun catching up with Cazden, as it's been a few years since we last saw each other. I hope you guys get a kick out of this one. Thanks a lot.
Everyone behind me, that's a plan, Then they get hurt if they out of bounds. All them absurd, only here for clout, trying to get heard. So I spit loud, gotta let the herd when I run the crowd, man, like I said, all them absurd, only here for clout, But let's be real, so was everybody else, We all got secrets, we all keep to ourselves, in the dark, keep to ourselves, in the dark, just gotta shine through. All of this noise got me annoyed, stuck in the void and I can't avoid it, Alone in the dark with my broken heart, I try to outshine it, cause I'm shining, cause even through my dark times, I'm shining, it's shining, it's blinding, reminding, it's shining, it's shining, it's blinding, reminding, it's shining.
I'm taking shots. You ready for that knuckle puck? You better duck. So fake, but you acting mighty tough. Skating past, Y'all can call me Gretzky. Got you laughing like Cali, Up on that jet ski, Boy, you acting messy. I'm the captain, Lionel Messi. I'm a star. Disregard your so-called wicked bars. Y'all can get to kicking rocks, Boy, it's my spot. It's time for y'all to stop, boy. I just checked the clock.
It's shining. It's blinding, reminding, it's shining, it's shining, it's blinding, reminding, it's shining, it's shining, it's blinding, reminding, it's shining, it's shining, it's blinding, reminding, it's shining.
All right, I'm sitting here today with Cazden Cote, and he is a film and production graduate from SAIT, the South Alberta Institute of Technology. And what we're going to be talking about mainly today is rap and creative endeavor, as Cazden is a rapper, an up and coming rapper with the stage name Young Kazi. So
howdy.
Yeah, we're going to dive into it. Could you give me a little bit of a rundown of kind of an introduction to who you are, where you came from, where you've been, what you're doing now?
In Calgary. God, I'm bad with intros, but just been grew up here for a long time, and what am I trying to say? I don't want to go through my whole life story, but went to high school. Basically, I've known this kid since grade 8, 9, whatever. Went to high school together. Been a minute, but haven't seen you pretty much since high school now.
It's been a long time. It's been about 5 now, maybe 6 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Honestly, it doesn't even feel that long.
No, it doesn't.
I think I saw something recently. It was like 5 years or 6 years since high school. I'm like, excuse me? No, thank you.
It's a strange feeling to see yourself get older, for sure.
Yeah, seriously. And everyone else.
Yeah.
It almost feels like I'm not getting older, but it's like
just everyone else. You're in your time sensitive bubble.
exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like you're getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were definitely part of you were the film crew in school.
Yeah.
You and the guys were always Ethan and Tim. I know that Ethan's he's still working in film.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in BC pretty much right now. He has some stuff there, but yeah, he's around. He's also was at working with the film studio as well.
Mhm.
Like I would actually like be on productions and I would just see him because we'd be there and be like, oh hey, how's it going? Like it was just sweet because he would just he'd be working there, but then I'd be working on the productions that'd be at the set. It was just really weird.
Mhm.
It just feels like we were working together, but we weren't. It was weird.
It was always so much fun to see you guys work in junior high and high school. You guys were always putting up videos and making these narratives, and it was always cool to see.
That was super fun.
Yeah. What do you think pulled you into that? What do you think draws you towards film?
Honestly, like I think just like always like went over this because I think that's also like it's my thing with music as well because it's like a form of like storytelling and expression, but in a way that's just not so blatant. If that makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, you can tell things without like you can show it basically with
Mhm.
film, and like but also in a way like just it's hard in a way because it's like it really depends on what in a way you're talking about, but I guess just like I just like creating basically,
Mhm.
and just like entertainment and all that. But yeah, it's just film encompasses so much, and that's I think why I gravitate towards that. But like that's why I'm just like it's so weird in a way because it's like I'm huge. I'm just there's so many things I like. That makes sense. Or
Mhm.
art forms, and it's like because it's like I make music now too, but it's just like movies they incorporate that as well because that's music and sound and film go hand in hand like so much, but like that's what I've found I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyways I just think it's like interesting with like especially music because it's like a lot of people were like what now you're making music all of a sudden. I'm like well yeah because it's like because what I'm trying to say, so like making movies it is a very collaborative effort.
Mhm.
And like sometimes it is super hard to be collaborative like especially in like now with COVID.
Mhm.
But like
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, and then just like I guess just like expressing yourself fully because like working on a film set I'm just working, you know what I mean, like it's amazing, and yes I love that I'm doing something that I get to do, but like it's so much different from if I was making my movie, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But super hard to make your movie, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
It's a lot, no, like getting budgets, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But with like music, I can literally just hide away in my room and make an album, like by myself, and
Yeah.
write and tell a story. And then, yeah, so that's where I think just found that other form of storytelling that I found I can express myself with. If that makes sense.
Mhm. You can totally go on huge long tangents that don't make sense here, by the way. I'm going to do the
Okay,
exact
sweet.
same. I'm going to stumble and mumble my way through this. That's what
Yeah.
I do every time. There's no pressure to be perfect at all. So
Okay, good.
don't,
I always like go off.
no, you're fine. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like people, I think the first 5 to 10 minutes, people are quite nervous to get in front of a camera and do
Yeah,
this kind of stuff. But after you get into a flow, it's a lot easier. So
definitely.
we'll just work our way into it.
Okay, sweet.
What was your transition into rap? I think that a friend and I talked about this once. that collaborative element of film where you're taking all of these visual things, and it's not only the explicit visual content, but it's also it's not only the explicit, like it's not only the things that you see on screen that are right there, the actors, but it's also the set design and the symbolism they're putting into it. And I remember in junior high and high school, kids would always complain in English class when professors or teachers would talk about symbolism in books, where they would, like, a room is colder and dark, or it has blue curtains or something, and that's to symbolize some kind of a milieu of depression or sadness or anxiety or something, and everyone would complain about that. But then as I grew older and watched more and more film, I was so much more appreciative of understanding those things, because it adds just a whole other layer of complexity. Same with one example is the having some kind of window frame where the main character will be in a predicament where they're trapped, and then the lighting will show a shadow on them, and the shadow will be in bars, and it'll look like they're in a prison.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
it's things like those that make, they're very subtle, but they can add so much value to the photo or to the film. And then in that same way, music is the same. The best films always have just unbelievable scores that drag you into it. I remember I was in a psychology of the auditory system. I was in a class for that, and we watched Lord of the Rings, the scene where they're in Moria. Yeah, so, it's so good. Such a, like, that's my favorite movie trilogy. That's probably my favorite three movies in the world.
Soundtracks too, like the music in that, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, we watched first without the audio the scene where the Fellowship is running from the Balrog in Moria.
Oh yeah.
And then we just watched it without the music, and then we just listened to it, and then we listened to it and watched it. And the music tells such a story that it's almost more powerful than just the visual of the film.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Because like it really adds that emotion to it. Like, and even like vice versa. Like what did I watch yesterday? I was watching something yesterday, and it literally, I had to rewind it because I was like, oh my God, what was it? I really want to bring that up because it was really cool. What did I watch? Anyways, it was just like a fight scene, but like it was like music the whole time, and then as soon as this fight scene came up, it just music cuts, and there's no music, and it's just the rain, and it's just the punching. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like this is way better. You know what I mean? Like, I was just, then I literally rewinded it because I was like, yeah, there's no music, and it just gave me chills. I was like, this is awesome. And I love shit like that when, you can, and it probably would have been ruined if they kept the music going, because it just would have been more, you don't need it sometimes, you know what I mean? Because like, it really amped, because like it amped you up as it was happening, but as soon as they went in for the, like, just hand to hand, cut, no music, and it's just they're just the, the raw sounds of the fight. I'm just, it was nuts. Almost felt like a bass drop, but it wasn't. It was just really, it was really cool. So it definitely does impact it a lot in many ways. It's very interesting, and like, there's a lot of things, like even like themes. Like I miss themes and stuff too, which I feel like are missing. Like now, you know what I mean? Like,
they're dead. They're all dead.
Exactly. Like Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Star Wars. Like, off the top of your head, you know where those are from, and it's like, what movies nowadays, like, can you think of a theme of, like, that's a big movie? Like, you know what I mean? Like Avengers, I kind of know, but then like every other Marvel movie, it's like, what the fuck? There's no music.
Yeah.
It's just the most basic stuff. It's just weird. It just feels like it's, flatlining, and it does nothing. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah. It's like, I'm just trying to remember just like scenes from like some Avengers films where it's like there's just, orchestra music as an action scene's happening. I'm like, this probably would be kind of cooler without that orchestra. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know, just kind of interesting because it just feels so flat.
Yeah.
But then you have some scenes where it just totally changes it when there is that music. It feels better. Like Endgame. Sorry, that's I keep bringing up Avengers. Endgame is like that one scene when fucking you've seen it, right? I can spoil.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spoil Endgame.
Do it.
When he
If
grabs
you
the
haven't seen
goddamn
Endgame
hammer.
yet, brutal.
Yeah, right. Like,
Yeah.
fuck you if you haven't seen Endgame.
Exactly.
Yeah, when he's just like Avengers, assemble, and
Yeah.
like there's no music, and then as soon as everyone starts screaming, the theme comes up, and I just come. Like that's like, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
film. That's
Yeah.
film there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Every now and then I'll go back and watch the scene where in A New Hope, where Luke goes out to the desert to decide whether or not he's gonna go on his hero's journey, and
Dude.
he's looking out over the desert landscape, and there's the
Two moons or
bisolar, yeah, you can see like
Yeah.
both the suns are setting in the background.
So
The score for
beautiful.
that is just, it's one of my favorites. I'll just go and listen to it anytime I want goosebumps.
I'm vividly, I know the whole scene now in my head. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so good.
It's so, and I think that a part of that is the connection that we make between sounds and images and all of these, like these different sensory experiences that we have. I think that sound is one of those things that combines all of those together. Like I hear that song and I see it in front of me. And they're same thing with Lord of the Rings. There are songs where I wouldn't be able to tell you if I were to play the movie through and through, I wouldn't be able to tell you what songs go in what scenes. But if you play a song for me from any of the Lord of the Rings, any of the soundtracks, I'll be able to tell you exactly where it goes. I can see it. It's in front of my eyes instantly. And I find that so interesting, that to have a good solid film, to have the best film, you need a good soundtrack.
Definitely, yeah. And then like how you incorporate it too. It's just crazy the amount of work and the detail that goes into that. It's wild.
Yeah, right. Just like the example that you were giving. And let me know when you do remember that, because I do want to go and watch that fight scene whenever this is done. But the lack of music can be as or more impactful as music is, as long as it's surrounded by a good score.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it's on Netflix. I'll have to like check my recently watched sometime.
I've been binging. I binged Castlevania a few, like last week or the week before.
The new season came out, right?
It was good. It was really good.
3. It's a really good show. I need to finish that. What have I been watching? Oh, I'm literally am in the middle of watching Loki. The new episode came out today.
How is it?
It's okay. I'm literally like 20 minutes in, but like I was kind of like watching as I was at work and not really paying attention. So like, you know what I mean? It's just there, and I was like, I should be watching this later. So I paused it. But yeah, that literally just came out today, like the first episode. So, and I'm a Marvel fiend, even though,
Where do you think Marvel's going? What do you think is going to happen with Marvel?
I really don't know. I think. Have you seen the shows, like WandaVision and Falcon?
Not really. Honestly, I just didn't care about them enough.
Right? Like, I did not give a shit after Endgame.
Yeah.
Like, that was weird because I love these movies because, like, in a weird way where, like, I don't love them for the reasons a lot of people like them. I like them for, like, the filmmaking reasons, and, like, it's insane that these are, like, I don't know, these interconnected movies, and they work, they're, even if they're competent, you know what I mean? They're not shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, even if, if like Black Panther, to me, I could care less about that movie, but it still is super impressive. And it's like, holy shit, this works as a movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, I probably won't watch it again.
Yeah.
But like, but then you have like Iron Man, where I can watch that like so many times over and over, Avengers over and over. Like, but like, it's just interesting now because those shows, WandaVision especially, is almost like a fresh. I can't even talk. A breath of fresh air. I was gonna say a breath of breath air. Sorry. Because like it's just short. Also, like it doesn't overstay its welcome. Because I was like, oh shit, we're getting TV shows now of this shit. like the movies were already starting to feel overkill. But then it's like just a nice 6-episode season, and they're not going to make any more seasons. And I'm like, oh, this is sweet. It's just like a little longer movie, but it also gives it more time to breathe because like they just get time to be characters. And I was like, I really liked it, and it feels like a movie at the same time. Like that's the weird part. That really fucking blew my mind actually, because like, you know, like the Netflix movies, Daredevil and Luke Cage and all that. Like, I'm sorry, they look low budget as fuck. Like you can tell. Even like Agents of Shield, that other one that where it's connected with the Marvel movies. It feels low budget. Like, I'm sorry if people like those. I like Daredevil on those shows. I can't stand Agents of Shield and other shit like that. They feel so low, but they feel like TV. But then you watch WandaVision and Falcon, it feels like a fucking movie. Like it looks like a movie. And it blew my mind. Like, and so that's the interesting part. But then I just see these trailers for the Eternals and Black Widow, and I'm like, it just looks like more Marvel movies. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm so like teetering. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I guess it also helps too that the COVID kind of spread the time apart, because it's like I think Black Widow was supposed to come out like April last year, wasn't it, or something? And like it was supposed to start way sooner. So like I think it would have been, I think kind of helped, because I kind of started missing seeing Marvel in a way, because I was like, hey, there hasn't really been anything for a while, because I wanted them to wait a year. I'm like, after Endgame, please just take a fucking break. Like, Endgame literally was the most perfect ending to that whole long wait. And then we have fucking Spider-Man Far From Home right after. It's like, stop. Like, you just had the most biggest ending of your life, and then you're like, Ant-Man.
They definitely should have flushed something down the toilet after Endgame. Just like, take this, recalibrate your expectations. We're not going to be as good as Endgame. I mean, those heroes, those characters, those are people that I've grown up with. I remember seeing Iron Man as a young child, and that sparked off the entire thing. We've been able to grow up with this entire series, and I think that's a part of me caring less about the shows is I just don't know who these people are. Like, I understand. I love the comics. I love comics. I love what Marvel's done in their the old scale, the old style comics. Those were they're just so good. But now that Iron Man, Captain America, I'm a big fan of Doctor Who. That's more of a Benedict Cumberbatch thing. But for a lot of these people, I'm kind of like, Actually, I love Chris Hemsworth. I think that Thor is the Ragnarok was one of my favorite.
Yeah, Marvel they've really found a good footing. That's the weird part, like, right, where, like, I don't know, with Marvel, it's just like they always do stuff to make me start to care. Because like Thor, I could give like the first 2 movies, I'm like, those are the most boring fucking. I do not care for the first 2 Thor movies. They're so boring. I don't know, like, not boring, but it's like, you know, they're just there.
Yeah,
you know? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Then Thor Ragnarok comes in, like, holy shit, this movie is insanely good and like stylized and like has a vision and it's funny. And I'm like, where the fuck, like, where did this come from? You know what I mean? So then it just feels reinvigorated. Even Captain America, like the first movie, I like the first one, but then it's like all of a sudden Winter Soldier comes out and I'm like, this is actually like a really good movie and like really well done action. And it's like, holy shit, okay, I'm interested now. It's just like, they always do that. It's interesting. Or like if something kind of works, they find like a better way to do it. I don't know. They always keep me intrigued.
Yeah, they definitely have a mold. I think Taika Waititi, the New Zealand director that did Thor, he's one of my favorite directors. I love him so much.
I recently showed my parents Jojo Rabbit. Like, it's one of my favorites. Oh my god, I adore that movie so much.
The Hunt for the Wilder People was awesome. That might be one of my favorite soundtracks from a film.
I should rewatch that. I don't remember the music too much from that.
I think it was all the same band, and it just really captured the feel of it.
Yeah, because I love that movie. I need to rewatch that. I love his films. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows, and
yeah,
yeah.
He's good. He's so good. Yeah, he came in and
Great.
just totally reinvigorated Thor, and I don't
I'm
know.
excited.
I hope they figure out something better for him in the next few movies, because I think Endgame kind of they neutered his character a little bit. I was a little bit sad
Yeah, true.
to see Fat Thor come in after he totally came into his own and started to figure out what he was doing and who he was, and becomes King of Asgard, and then immediately just they kind of decimated his story arc.
Kind of got a closure at the end with his mom.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope he's on his way back.
But now we get Natalie Portman as Thor. So
yeah, what are they doing with that? Are they gonna write Chris Hemsworth out, or?
I have no idea, because he's in it, like he's the main star, but then it's like, I don't know if it's just like both of them are in it. I have no idea. Yeah,
Weird.
it just seems like a Thor movie, but then I don't know, because I've seen like behind the scenes and just like I just don't see anything of Natalie Portman.
Mhm.
I'm just like, well, what the hell? And that's all the whole story is about, like Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth. Whatever, I'll see it when it comes out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
How did you transition into music? You talked about that a little bit earlier. It was kind of the what the hell from everyone else when you decided to jump into the music game.
Yeah. So like there was this, I guess, what was it? Back in high school, me and like a lot of uh who was it? Big like a group of friends like Jacob Roth and all those guys. Like every time we go to like their houses and like stupid house parties and stuff, they always would do rap battles.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was fun, because we just roast each other and like shitty bars, and like we're just being drunk and being idiots. But then like it became like a recurring thing. I remember we're just like, hey, let's do a rap battle next party because it's funny, and we'll just roast each other. And but then just kept like doing it, and like people really like, I don't know, it just felt fun. It was fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I actually like this shit. And then I was like, I've always been interested in like hip hop, like rapping and hip hop and poetry and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've always written poetry and music, but it's like, never have thought about making music in a way that makes sense. Like, where you just like you write, but then you're like, oh, I'm never gonna record that or actually make it into a song. So I don't know how. And then it's like, so then years later, it's just with the rap battling stuff, it kind of just pushed me more to like, maybe I can write in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was just like studying it more, because that's the thing with me, I can't just do something thinking I can do it. Like even if I can do it, I like to learn. So like I still have to learn those techniques and everything. So then I just, I don't know, because like with film, right? Like that's why I like film, is because I'm a nerd, so I like all the technical aspects of it and learning those things. And then with like hip hop and like poetry, it's just like that's what kind of like made me like it more, is when thinking of it in like poetry kind of eye, of like this is how you write, and this is just English, like you know what I mean, like writing basically. And I like writing, so that's where it just really, I guess, helped me push me towards that, to start writing more music and actually release or recording it, I guess. Because then it was just, I'm trying to remember. I don't hear what I'm saying, but what was I going on about?
We were talking about the transition.
Right. Let me say something I totally forgot. But with just like the technical aspects of like hip hop, because like just learning all that and was like really what intrigued me to and started doing it, I guess. And like but then just with the storytelling, I guess what also like what I wanted to mention too was helped is because like going back of like the collaborativeness of film, and I guess there was like everyone goes through a period of time, or I guess I was going through that period of time of like just being more alone, I guess, you know what I mean, or just being to myself more often. And like, so obviously, and like just film in general is just like, even short films, like you can't fucking make a movie alone. Like you can, but like, you know what I mean? It's just, there's so much that goes into that, but it's like, I could write a comic book maybe or something like that, but it's not my forte. And I've always been into music, and that's the thing. So it's just like, I was like, maybe I should just finally start learning. And then, yeah, I just kind of started, and I don't know, it just kind of happened. But yeah, what am I trying to say? I feel like I'm not making any sense right now. But basically, like, yeah, just started learning the techniques and then applied them. But yeah, what am I trying to say? The transition to rap, though. It just basically comes down to like, I love technical aspects of it. Yeah, writing, which, yeah, storytelling and everything, right? So, and even there's the different things especially like poetry is, like the English stuff. So like, alliterations, allegories, metaphors, like I'm just a sucker. I love that shit. And so being able to do that and then having people, actually respond to that, being like, yo, that's a dope line or something. I'm like, oh shit, that's thanks. Like, it's really cool. And like, you can't get, an immediate response sometimes in like film, or like have people see that symbolism right away. And that's the thing that I really do like, is that symbolism and being able to not to go a little abstract. I mean, you can do that in film, but I guess basically doing it by myself and fully telling a story and in a way that however I want, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, like I said, just, it's one of those mediums that you can lock yourself away in and you can make something alone, pretty much, as long as you know what you're doing. Again, you can do that with film, but way
it's really
easier.
hard, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where's my tea? There it is.
How do you start to learn about film and poetry? What was your process for that?
That was like ever since I was a kid. Like I've always just, I guess, like, what was it? I guess I was like, I always wanted to be like making movies, and then like, YouTube came around. It's like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. Like literally, like I have videos of me like in 2008, 2009, like wanting to be a YouTuber before it was like cool to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And like, just because I loved fucking around with the camera. Like I was making like dumb, stupid videos before I knew what YouTube was. Like, and like, so yeah, it was just that thing, and just progressed because wanted to be like Smosh. So it's like short films, and like you can get a following, make short films on the internet, like that type of shit, right? So then, yeah, so that kind of helped, and just like there was a difference of video and film, I guess. But yeah, I've always wanted to make movies, and then always been into writing. But yeah, I'm just a writer, I guess, is my main passion. Storytelling, I guess, is what I kind of always encompass everything into. I guess is what I say. But yeah, yeah, I've just, for the longest time. But I think like, but really coming serious into music though, like it was really around like high school. Like really was when that started. It's like, it was like, okay, I taking it like more serious and making music and even instrumentals and stuff like that, because I work on my own beats and stuff, like with Liam Davey from high school.
Yep.
Still work together, and yeah, so yeah, and interesting.
Well, I remember in high school when there would be parties. I remember parties at Chris Dobbin's place, and you guys would get ready for a rap battle, and then everything would stop. Everyone would go to the couches, and you guys would stand on top of the table and just spit bars back and forth at each other. And I remember everyone just freaking out all the time.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, those were always a ton of fun. How do you maneuver there's a little bit of an instant gratification from some things in music and any creative endeavor. And then there's also the long-term gratification. So the things that you put something out and maybe you get 10 views on a video, and then maybe some other videos you get hundreds of thousands of views. I think you're up at you're in the thousands for your newest song, Same Cloth. And so how do you balance it's very volatile. Some things are super successful, some things aren't very successful. How do you maneuver through that while still staying positive?
Because like, yeah, that's the one thing is like, and yeah, that's the main thing too. And like, that's what because I get a lot of people like ask me that, and like, it's like, how can you, or how do you just like, because I feel like a lot of people have that issue, especially nowadays, because I see that a lot, like, you know, in this freaking internet age we're in, where everything you need to get this instant hit, you know, it has to oh, if I don't get a response now, then it's done. And like, you can't do that with, I don't know, with art especially, like, I don't know, I can go on, I can rant about that shit forever, because it's just like,
please do.
Yeah, like, cause I don't know, cause like, yeah, I don't know, it's weird, cause like, I don't know, I guess music or just with anything, cause it's like, I don't know, I'm just doing it because I want to do it, and it's like, yes, if you're taking it serious, like if you're doing professional, yes, you need to care about marketing and blah 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 and your views and stuff, but it's like also, yeah, it's just, I feel like when people when you're starting, I feel like a lot of people do give up when they don't get an instant response, or if it doesn't come from their first 2 songs, and it's like, that's not going to happen. Like, I don't know, I feel like you have to go in with that mindset. I mean, like, you're not, I don't know, even if you think you're good, you got to know you're not good, if that makes sense, or think you're not good. I don't know, it's just, maybe I'm just like too humble. Is that too cocky to even say? It's just like, I'm too humble. Like, wait, that sounds shitty.
That's a perfect paradox.
Right? Yeah. I was like, wait, bruh. Yeah, I don't know, because because I've just seen it a lot on like online and stuff, where it's just like, oh, I wanna, like, what, Twitch is a good example, like, because I stream on Twitch sometimes, like when I edit, and like, people, there's a huge thing with that too, because just like a great example, because it's like, hey man, I want to start streaming, how do I do that? It's like, fucking Google it. Like, why are you asking a streamer? Like, or it's just like, I tried streaming, but no one comes to my streams. Or it's like, I don't know what to talk about. It's like, well, then why are you streaming? Or it's just like, it's just so weird to me, where it's like, what are you passionate about? That's what it comes down to. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, if I wasn't passionate about music, I probably wouldn't be making music, or working in film, if I didn't fucking love it so much. Like, I don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's an abusive relationship, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I find that it's beneficial to find things that so the thing that you're passionate about, and the thing that you're doing, the thing that you're trying to get good at, it's good to find things outside of becoming successful that you can associate with that. So for me, what I've been doing here is learning how to speak, and also learning how to read and write through this, because it's all very language based. So I've learned how to ask better questions in conversations, and speak better, and read better, and kind of incorporate more ideas into the interviews that I have, and the conversations that I'm able to have. And I learn something from every single conversation. So that's the way that I frame all of this. It's not about becoming famous or having the greatest podcast in the world. That's the end game goal. But I feel that you need to have goals in the intermediary that are less transient than success. There are things that you could,
legit,
like if you get better at the things that if you get amazing at the things that you're trying, what would be a good way to put this? The people that are hyper successful in their areas, number one, they're super lucky. You have to be just unbelievably lucky to be successful in anything. Exactly. And the thing with social media and the internet now is that people are able to be successful while they're still alive, which hasn't always been a thing. Like Van Gogh, he was never famous. Like Vincent van Gogh, he was never famous. He died infamous, not famous at all. And people like Picasso and tons of other artists and writers, they all died unsuccessful, or they became very successful in the later part of their life, because it took so long for information to travel And over time, the things that deserve our attention are replicated, and they're conserved essentially. So something like the Bible is the best example of that. It's just something that's been around for forever because of how good it is.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to modern day, the more difficult it is to find the actual best things that were written during that time, if they still exist. So something like Dante's the Inferno and Purgatoria, those things they're so good that they've transcended time, and now they're in our current epoch because of how good they are. But now we're in a place where I can tune into an 11-year-old prodigy playing piano that maybe never would have been heard until he's 50, 60. So
that's so true. Yeah. Or like maybe not even ever.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Because now he has a camera on his phone. That's the craziest part. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So besides being lucky, I think that it's important to find something that the most successful person in the area is the best at. So for me, I listen to people have conversations and listen to the way people think, and then I listen to the top of those people. So the people that are the best at scientific reasoning and the best at question asking and the best at reading and writing and creative thinking, I listen to them and think, okay, what are they doing? How are they that successful? And then from there, you're essentially an apprentice to these people that are masters. And hopefully by the end of this entire journey, you're able to stand on the shoulder of giants. And that's the only way to really become successful, is to kind of, like you said, admit how shitty you are at things and take in a little bit of reality.
Exactly. And that was the thing I was like kind of forgot to mention too, is like, yeah, it's like every single thing I do, like I am learning, and that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like, especially because like I edit my own music videos and stuff too, and I do it for other artists as well. Like I will film and like edit music videos for people, and that's like the main thing is like I never want to not be learning a new technique when I'm editing, or like doing some new transition or something, or even with music. Like I don't want to be writing the same, like structure for every single song or something, right? Like, and that's what I like about that, is that it can be so different, but at the same time it's still all you, or what you're trying to say, but you can twist it up or change it a little bit.
How do you do that? It takes so much time to do that. And how do you can totally flex on me right now, because that's just so impressive that you're able to video edit and do that for other people while also working a full-time job in film and development, and also pursuing a rap career. It just sounds like so much, and it sounds like a very niche place to be.
It is very niche. Like, I don't know, it's just because that's also the thing, is like it is like a hobby as well, I guess, is what it is. Like, I will literally just edit when I'm bored. Or like, I get, that's pretty much it. Or like I'll watch YouTube tutorials on shit, like as I'm chilling, or or even at work. I'll admit, like I don't know, that's the weird part. Like even I always find that, like, it's really fucking pisses me off when people say like, "Oh my god, you listen to podcasts at work?" It's like, fuck yeah, I'm not gonna be a drone. Like I'm not gonna stand with my dick in my hand, like doing nothing. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's times when, like, obviously do your work, like, I don't know, because like there's a lot of just waiting around, and like I'm not gonna it's film, so like there's a lot of just waiting around. So obviously I'm gonna have something to occupy my ears when I'm standing alone for 5 hours, like waiting for someone to yell cut. Like, so it's just like, so, and that's the thing. So I like to do, I don't know, multitask. Maybe it's just because the ADHD in me as well. So it's like I just always need to be doing something. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like something that you really love as well. It sounds like something that you're passionate about. And
I do. Like, and that's the thing, is I like, this is just the passion. I just love doing it. So it's fun.
Yeah, I learned this recently, but the term vocation comes from Latin, and the Latin translation is actually the call toward something. So it's not necessarily a profession, but it's to be called from and to something. And so it's more of a it's yeah, it's a little bit of a, you could say maybe it's a little bit more metaphysical than the term that we use right now, where you're being called by an external force towards something. It's that feeling that you get when, I'm not sure, so for some people it's reading, for some people it's athletics, and for some people it's, I'm not sure, psychiatry or neuroscience or any of those things, but it's this thing that calls you and you feel drawn towards it. And it definitely sounds like that's something that you experience when
Definitely.
when you're
Just like,
working.
yeah, just like, yeah, like, especially then, that's why I like writing too, because it's like, you can just, something will pop in my head, and yeah, I guess that's totally makes sense, because I'll just randomly, think of a thing like, oh, that sounds so cool. I can't not write that down. Like, so I literally will just, I have to always be like writing shit down. I think of some stupid pun or some line that works, right? So it's just like, or even just ideas, like they're always random. So yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
And how long have you been writing for? It's a difficult hobby to begin.
Yeah. Probably, I mean, I've always like written stories since I was a kid and stuff, but like music, it's been years. Like, yeah, I don't know. Been writing for a while. It's all like different kind of stuffs. Like, I have short stories or stuff here and there, like write scripts, music, and really like more serious, I guess, has been since high school. So yeah, actually doing the technically right way. You know what I mean?
Do you journal at all, or is it more just writing for the narrative style storytelling or music?
I like kind of journal. Yeah.
I guess you could say that those are all one and the same, like depending on, like, for me, I write a lot of I just write a lot of poetry.
Yeah.
That's more my style. I would love to start doing more long form storytelling, because I think that would just be the most fun thing in the world. Sometimes my parents watch movies, and sometimes they're just the worst. And I have no idea how someone reads a script to a story and gives it the thumbs up. Like, when things don't connect, like, I feel like if I watch a movie for 5 minutes, I can kind of tell whether it's going to be a good movie or not. And yeah, I'm not sure how lots of stories get the green light. It's funny to me.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I like that stuff. No, yeah, it's fun. Yeah, like, and again, like too, like I always, it's not like completely like it always depends. Like script stuff, like I probably have like 5 unfinished scripts. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's just you're always adding ideas to them or something. Or with music, like, and even writing, like I will tend to just word babble. You know what I mean? Too. That's another thing. It's just fucking write. Because like I have an issue. I can't write. Like it's like so weird. Like it's like so weird when I say that. But basically, I have trouble writing, so I will just write or else I just won't write. If that makes sense. Like,
oh, I know, I'm the exact same.
Yeah. So whatever the fucking is in my head, I just write it down. It's just because, or else I'm just doing nothing. Or I'm just thinking of what to write. It's just like that's doing nothing. So yeah.
Normally I'll have about 4 or 5 documents open at the same time, and I'll jump between them. If I'm editing, I'll jump between 4 or 5 documents, because I'll read it once, and then like I'll read it, and as I'm reading it, I'm editing it a bunch. But the first time I put something on paper, it's just absolute hot garbage. So it's a flaming dumpster fire, and then I have to edit it probably 50 times before it's anything worthy of.
Other thing that always deteriorates people is like, your first thing you're ever going to write is always going to be shit. Like, and anything, it's just going to be absolute the worst thing. So it's just like you just got to keep always write. Like it's just
anything you do, you're just going to be horrible at it to start off, and then I feel like a lot of people are deterred by that now. That initial learning curve, because once you start to learn something, then it starts to become fun, and then there's just this super cool fast feedback loop where it becomes fun, or you become better, and then it becomes fun, and then you become better faster, which makes it even more fun, and then you just can't stop doing it. Like right now I'm writing a script for one of my introductions, and I decided to incorporate, it's kind of a story, kind of a poem, but it's maybe a bad example or a good example of bad writing, but hopefully it turns out well. But it takes so long to actually write something and put it down onto paper and then edit it into something that you're proud of.
Exactly. Yeah, like especially with music, like when you're trying to do something with themes, like and tell a story, because like especially like what I'm doing now is like my next project is kind of a part two to I did like a remix tape called Rip My Nostalgia. It was just like I remixed themes of like movies and music and stuff like that and wrapped over top. And so this one I'm literally just kind of doing the part two of it, and like it takes me so freaking long, and I these songs take me the longest to do, even though it seems like they're the easiest, but they're not. Because yeah, it's like, okay, so the song, like for example, right now I have a song working on that is like a lo-fi remix of the Twin Peaks theme, theme song, and like so then, but it's like very sexy sounding in a way. So I'm like, okay, sweet. So I'm like, okay, so obviously I'm gonna make it about a girl, because it's like the show is about like a girl who goes missing in a small town, and it gets very surreal. Like it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Like it's fucking amazing. If you have never seen it, you gotta watch it.
I'll watch it. I haven't seen it. I'll go watch it after this.
It's amazing. Yeah. So it's literally though, it's just girl dies in small town, cop goes to try to find out what happened, and it's just the craziest shit in the world, and it's phenomenal. That's all you need to know. And then like so yes, and then it's just like, okay, how do I kind of like incorporate that into a song? And so like my song is just about like this girl that I'm entranced with, and like and things start to get weird, I guess, basically. So just kind of taking those themes and then but also making it a story. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then so yeah, it's very interesting. It's instead of just if I had a normal song that wasn't based off Twin Peaks, like,
yeah,
where it could be anything, but I have to like set it to a certain structure. Or like another, I have a Zelda song, right, that I'm making, that I should be releasing soon actually, and like it's another song kind of about a girl, but it's a different, like basically it's about like reconnecting with like a person. The song is kind of about, so it's like an old flame that I had, and then years afterwards, like, oh hey, let's catch up, and oh, it's actually kind of going good now. And but also, so there's the theme or a story, I guess, but then I also am like, well, I do need to incorporate it's a Zelda beat, so I'm like, I do need to incorporate Zelda things in a way, but not be cheesy, because I don't want to just say Zelda puns, like, you know what I mean? Like, I hate that shit. I fucking hate songs that are just puns, or just or just, or no, like let's link up, link up, girl. Like if there's some shit like that. Or,
well, I'll hold you to it if I hear that lyric.
Okay, now I gotta write it. Let's link up, girl. I didn't write that.
Do you think in words? How do you think? I would give you the, like, some people think in images and some people think in words. So for example, the director of I forget his name right now, but the like Ponyo. Do you know what the director's name is?
Like the Miyazaki?
Yeah. So
the Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah. So the main most successful director of Studio Ghibli, he does his storyboard first. So he does all of his drawings, and then he gives it a script.
Damn.
And I know that there are some musicians that will write the song first, and then they'll come up with lyrics after. So I think there are some people that, I think they're more rare, but people that think in sound compared to.
And that's honestly like, it really depends. Because like sometimes I do, I write out the story and then I make up the song afterwards. Because it's like, but then sometimes it's like that's the thing, it all depends. Because like sometimes I will go in thinking I'm going to write just the story, and then all of a sudden I just have the rhymes in my head. Like I'm just start writing the rhymes, and it's not like it's the finished song. It's just like, okay, sweet, and then like I'll completely stop thinking of rhymes and I'm just go back to the story and like, okay, sweet, how can I structure that again? But also like those rhymes I just wrote. So then I'll just keep incorporating that as I go in a way. Because like, you know, sometimes I'll just get a random burst like, oh, that rhyme really works. I'll use that. I'll just write that down really quick. Like if I'm just explaining, sometimes I'll just like write down explaining something, and then it sounded better if I rhymed it, or like, you know, I'll really literally just write a word down like, oh, that word rhymes with this word. Like that's kind of how it works.
Right.
So then you just kind of keep going. Or again, if I'm having troubles, I like Zelda go over like my writing like techniques sometimes, or sometimes I do this like with the Zelda song, for example. Like what did I write down? Where is it? Oh, structure this shit. So like, I don't know, like words like I want to incorporate, I guess. So it's like sometimes I'll just think of the words I want. So it's like I want the word calamity in the song because it's like Calamity Ganon is a character, and calamity is just a cool word, and so much you can do with that, like end of things, right? So
Right.
I want that word. Or there's like little things like, oh yeah, like I wanted like yeah, again, like image. Like I'm always like, that's the other part where I'm thinking of images from the game or things that you do, right? So it's like I have a line where as the rain pours, I slip, struggle to hold on, but I keep pushing on just for you, cuz. And because literally in the game, like as the rain pours, you literally slip off of shit, and it's really fucking annoying. Like it's annoying to climb things, and like, and yeah, so I was like, okay, it kind of works as a line. So yeah, I wrote that as, and then incorporated that kind of afterwards. Where I was like, how can I incorporate that in talking about a girl slipping off a mountain? I'm like, it works though. I want to coming for you, girl.
Well, it's cool you're building on something as well. I find that that's the more that I read, the more that I understand the underlying web of information that readers share. So there's some, the Bible just gets referenced all the time in so much different writing. And so if you haven't read the Bible, then you're not at a disadvantage, but you're not maybe understanding the full picture, because the author could be saying something explicitly, but then there's something also under the surface of what they've said. Right. In Hard Times by Dickens, there's a scene close to the beginning where it's a biblical reference, but it's a bunch of kids in a schoolhouse, and I think the biblical reference is to like a massacre of children, and what happens in the schoolhouse is their creativity just keeps on getting pushed down. The teacher tells them what to think. He's talking about horses and what a horse is, and a girl gives a more emotional answer towards what a horse is as to what she sees, and then he makes another student give an objective answer to what a horse is. So all of these different joints and tendons and angles and teeth, and then he says, yeah, so that's kind of and then so there's a comparison between the two, and Dickens is bringing in a biblical text to give a deeper understanding of what it is, or he's referencing back to this thing that is it makes it richer. It adds an element, or it adds a layer to it. So I think that's cool that you're doing it with your songwriting.
Exactly. Like I love that stuff because it's also the trick to it, because I'm that weirdo, as I love references, but I hate references. Like you said that perfectly, where yeah, it makes it richer, but also like you don't need to have read or understand, or just, you know, even a base knowledge of what that text is that he is referring to. And there's actually a word for that called, I love reading about this, actually called intertextuality, where like, yeah, media within media type of thing, where, you know, like Star Wars, for example, where like the Millennium Falcon comes in, the scene, great. Everyone knows the Millennium Falcon, like, or you don't, or little things like that. Where, because I think that's the good example where, yeah, it's based off of preconceived things, I guess,
Mhm.
but also, I think that's what it means. Just trying to remember. I was just trying to remember what I was talking about before I started talking about intersexuality. What was I talking?
We were talking about the Zelda song and the layers
Right.
between music and narrative
Right.
structure, and then on
Is it-
top of something that's already been created.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I like that because I hate straight up references.
Mhm.
Like example of maybe, sorry if people like this movie, but like Ready Player One.
Mhm.
Even the book is fucking trash. Like I'm sorry. Like the movie is, I can't, I hate the movie.
Mhm.
And it is one of those things of examples of that stuff that you have, either you need to know in a way, some of it. Like there is a bit of it where I'm like, okay, it works if you have never seen it, but a lot of it is just fucking references for the sake of a reference and nothing else but have a thing there. And it does nothing to push anything forward, no development or character. And then sometimes, or and then you have, what's a good example I had in my head? Like Lego Movie,
Mhm.
where you have fucking randomly Lego Batman as a side character, but it works perfectly because all those little mannerisms of Batman are being played on, and also he is a character.
Yeah.
Like, and but you don't necessarily have to know what Batman is also to get his character.
Right.
Like, just happens to be Batman. That is Lego. Like it's, I guess that if that makes sense. And like, yeah, but he literally comes into his own character,
Mhm.
and then he also gets his own movie, Lego Batman.
No, I totally think you're right. I think that when references overstep, they become fan service.
Yeah, that's exactly. And yeah, and I like it when yeah, I just like it to be a little smarter.
Yeah, when it's
Yeah,
subtle, it's so cool when there's subtle fan service, and it's
yeah,
more of an Easter egg than anything else.
exactly.
And I mean, that's what it was in this Dickens book. Is it's not explicit at all. It's just
Yeah,
an Easter egg that if you've read it or in the footnotes, it's there. But if you hadn't read it, it doesn't change the story at all. And if you have read it, then it might give you a little bit more. But it's not something that's required, and it doesn't alter the story.
yeah, and I like that stuff because like it's really funny because like I was reading about it a while ago. Like I was gonna say J.R. Tolkien. So I was gonna say R. Martin. Freaking Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. One of an amazing interview. Kind of blew my mind because he's just the one person I just think of as, the, I can't even find the right word, but basically, the interview was about like how people look at Lord of the Rings, and like it was an interview with him, and someone was basically like, so this is all metaphors for World War II, right? And well, what are orcs? Are these black people? And it's just like literally like everyone, and that was a huge thing at the time, and like people still think this day, and you know it was a metaphor for World War II because that was the time period that he was in, and
Mm-hmm.
he was in World War II, and it does make sense. But in these interviews of Tolkien, he literally dismisses all of this stuff about metaphors and his work being allegories for things, and it's kind of hilarious because like he's like, yeah, I just wrote a book on fucking orcs. Like literally, he's just like, it has nothing to do with the war. I don't care. It's like this isn't a metaphor for anything, you weirdo. He's like, I just wanted to make a cool fantasy novel, and like that's literally how he looked at it. But then like I watched, and then it like, yeah, the interview, because it was a part of this thing where you know now media is such a different thing now, where like it's almost subconsciously that probably is what he probably is talking about. Like even if he wasn't explicitly saying these orcs or like talking about World War II, it's like there's no way he possibly could not have taken his experiences and put those into that book. Or
Mm-hmm.
like even if, or like if it wasn't, someone can still take that also and put that experience in. It's just kind of interesting. Like it doesn't have to be a straight up like this is what it is type of thing. And like even because it almost seemed like, and that's the thing too, right? It almost blatantly feels like a World War II commentary, like the books. Like, but then again, he thinks like, I don't know where people get this from, but because it almost feels like, you know, psychology where he experiment or something. It's just like,
you got the psychoanalyst saying that he's projecting his experience onto
exactly.
paper.
But he's like, oh, I'll just write a novel. But and then it's just, I find that so interesting too. But in a way, I kind of do feel like it's like there's no way he was just writing about works. Like, I don't know. I feel like people are deeper than they give themselves the right to be.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense, yeah. I don't know, and that's why I like storytelling and creating is just, you can take it however way you want to, even if it's the way that the author didn't intend in a way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can conceive your own ideas from reading something. It doesn't have to be something that there's a marriage between ideas of yours and those of the authors, and those create something else.
Exactly.
Those create a different idea in your head. And
because it's actually so funny. So like, sorry about.
No.
Really blew my mind. Like the interview with Tolkien. Like it literally just seems like such the biggest thing. He's like, it's just a book about orcs.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like so weird. He just seems like that guy would be so, you know, yes, this means this and that. It's Lord of the Rings, yes. But no, he's like, nah, just wrote a book.
I think that might be what makes people like that so successful, when they're just writing for the sake of writing rather than writing to make political commentary, is that they're making an abstraction of all of the different heroes that they've ever come into contact with. So instead of writing about one particular person or one particular experience, they're writing this abstraction of, so I think that Sam was the hero's journey in Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
Him and Frodo are kind of it's funny because if you put them into one person, then they become more of a whole person, but the two of them together operate as there's like a dual persona in them as one person, but as differing characters, they complement and grow with and for each other. And so what Tolkien does is take abstractions of every hero's journey story and puts those into his characters and allows for them to grow at their own pace. And rather than starting off with this idea of he's not starting with politics, you can superimpose politics onto Tolkien, but Tolkien isn't superimposing politics into Lord of the Rings.
Really reads well too. Like rereading it, like I have a really big trouble with a lot of fantasy novels or just fantasy in general, because it can be a lot of just expository, and it's expository of a lot of the same shit. Like not to be like rude, but it's like a lot of fantasy can just be generic. You know, this is the hero and blah blah. He has his mentor dude, blah blah. Saves the queen. That guy dies. Great, but it's like, you know, and then the politics stuff. There, you know, we have the world building and stuff. We got to make this boring ass fucking world, and it's like, but then like you see like Tolkien, and it's so well done, and it's not like overly overdone, like what you just said. Like, I don't know, it feels so well done. It's hard to explain.
It just flows. It's so natural.
And like it's so weird because Lord of the Rings seems like, you know, the generic of all generics, but it's not. Like it's really not at all like every other fantasy. It's so strange. I fucking love Lord of the Rings so much. Sorry, like I could gush about that.
I could go on Lord of the Rings for forever. Fellowship was the first book I ever cried at.
Really? Yeah. Even the books are fantastic. I haven't read them in so long though. Like I read The Hobbit recently, a couple years ago, because I wanted to see if that actually was like. It was like, no way these are as long as the movies, and it was short.
The Hobbit is shorter than any of the Lord of the Rings series, but then they expand that into 3 movies, and each book in Lord of the Rings was its own. And I miss those days when movies weren't strained for everything that they could give.
like it blew my mind that 3 movies worth The Hobbit, and the Battle of the Five Armies is literally half a page.
Yeah.
Like that's the part that's why I wanted to reread it again. I'm like, there's no way this shit is like, there has to be added in stuff, and like, yeah. Like, it was like a year or two ago. I want to just reread it to see, because again, I haven't read it since I was a kid, and I was just like, I remember just being thin. Because I watched because the extended versions came out, and I watched them, and I just hated them. Yeah. Oh, The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, perfection.
That's
And the extendeds are perfection.
15-hour marathon that you'll never regret.
I love them so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's really, that's an interesting one with like metaphors and a hero's journey and like that in Star Wars, right? Where it's like it's literally just them like having fun, and then now there's so much, I guess, politics thrown into them in a way. When really, it was just a dude having fun, like writing and making up shit, like which I just find so fascinating.
Well, I'm heartbroken that that women can't be vulnerable in storytelling anymore.
Right.
Like Rey's just an absolute Mary Sue. It's no wonder that nobody liked her. She was just perfect right from the beginning. So many things that shouldn't have worked with her character at all. There was such little consistency. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. And like fuck, man. It happens a lot. And like you just can't, man, I could talk about women in film, but I shouldn't. But I want to get my ass kicked.
I was gonna say, I get 10 views per episode kind of thing, so there aren't a lot of people. It's more for us. But that's probably something that needs to be said. Same with Captain Marvel. That was something that
that was one of the worst, absolute biggest waste of times I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like it's super annoying. Like you just need to make a movie. Like I don't know. It's just really annoying to me. Like this whole thing of I don't know. It's hard to say because like there does need to be representation in film, but it's so hard. I gotta tiptoe around this. I think people are getting too wrapped up in the idea about representation in film, and it's really annoying because like you just need to make fucking good movies, and just that's it. Like this talk about you know maybe it is because I don't know, and that's why I always think maybe I just need to learn more, blah blah, because I am a white man, and that's and again like we have seen that for so long, and like I do agree that there does need to be representation of things, but again it's also like, what am I going on about? Like it can't substitute for a good story or just a good movie. That's what I mean. Like you can't substitute that, and it's really pissing me off about like so many movies are starting to just do this now, where it's changed things because you can, or for some reason, or I don't know, it's just so annoying.
There's the moral obligation to change things. I'm not, I don't know, go back 30 years and I think that besides Stallone and like not Rocky, Rambo. So go watch Rambo, go watch Predator, then go watch Alien, and go watch Terminator. Those are just like T2, Alien, the most badass chick characters in the entire world. Like your character should not suffer for diversity, and I don't think that characters should suffer to give women the impression that they have to be perfect all the time. Those are fundamentally flawed characters that grow over their time. They don't start off as perfect. And I think that's a part of it, is having, like you said, the theme of a movie should not be put at a higher value than the content of the movie. or any type of writing for that matter. And what it does is just make you not like a character. It doesn't make you like a film, and then it just makes it even worse. So then it has people. I'm not a huge fan of diversity quotas and shoehorning random diversity into a film or into a story just for the sake of having diversity. Obviously, that should be,
and especially pre-established. That's the part that
right.
Like I can't. Yeah, that's the thing that really just is annoying, is when it's just here's the things you like, but it's going to be different now. It's just like, okay, like give me like, because that's the whole issue. Like, because like Captain Marvel, for example, where
Captain Marvel's a
didn't
dude.
like it. Oh yeah, no.
In the comic books, Captain Marvel's a dude.
Was he? I thought he was a girl at first, or did it switch? Wasn't there like 2 Captain Marvels?
I think so. I think it turns into a girl later on, but the origin Captain Marvel, I think, is a dude. I think his name's Adam.
Or is that the DC version? I know there's a Captain Marvel in DC, but they had to switch names. I might be tripping.
No. Yeah, you probably know more than I do.
All right, I don't even know.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, where it's just like, that movie is just awful because it's a terrible movie, but like, that's one where, I don't get mad because character was an established female character. Great. That's what you need. But like, that's where it gets iffy in comic book movies, because it's like, it works if it's, being established, because now we're getting these things like Ironheart, if you know what that is, where it's a comic book where it's a black girl Iron Man now. And now we're getting the film, the Disney Plus show of it now, because Tony Stark's dead, so now this black girl is gonna take care. But that came from the comics, and that was it, literally just to turn Iron Man into a black female. But it does work because it's not just a reboot or changing. You know what I mean? It's literally like, oh, and now I can see it working in the movies, because it's literally like, hey, Tony Stark's dead. This person is like, the protege or whatever comes in and picking up the mantle type of thing. So that's where I can see it working. But like, yeah, just straight up changing things for no apparent reason is annoying.
I think they did that with the Eternals. I think I've seen the first, I've seen the first trailer, but like the Eternals are.
Salma Hayek was apparently her character's a guy apparently, and like that's where I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. Because I almost don't care, because it's like, who the fuck even knows the Eternals?
Yeah.
It's like Ghostbusters is the biggest example. Like, you know what I mean? Like that has no purpose whatsoever to have been a reboot of with women, and it did nothing for the film whatsoever. Like,
well, I think it took it down a few notches, if anything.
Yeah, it was awful. But like, that's what I mean. Like, that's a great example of just changing it for a quota and having it do absolutely nothing. And it's like, okay, great.
Yeah, if it can be incorporated into the storytelling.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, representation is super important, but changing an entire character just to fit a quota is frustrating.
Exactly. And I totally would have been fine. And also how you do it in context, because like it would have been fine, and like what they're doing now, and that I don't want to really talk much of it. But another thing too, I worked on the new Ghostbusters. That was like right after high school. I mean, not high school. Right after I graduated film school, my first like big production I worked on was actually Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was really fun. And that is one where, I guess because they're in trailers, it's weird because like it's not out yet. But like basically, the 2 main characters are one female girl. They're 2 kids basically, but one's a female and one's an Asian boy. And it's like, you know what I mean? Just from like hearing that, it sounds like what we're just talking about, where it's just, let's chuck these in because that's what's needed. That's what's hot right now. Women and Asians. And literally like, that's kind of what is in, but it is incorporated into the story perfectly, because it's like, this is Egon's granddaughter, sorry. And then it's her friend from high school. or not high school, just friend from school that is into tech, and they're both just nerds, and
Right.
it just works. And it's not just, it's not like they're just there. It's just it's incorporated very well.
Mm-hmm.
It's his granddaughter. It's just interesting seeing like how you can do it again, but have it done right. Like you can have female Ghostbusters, but why the fuck does it have to be a reboot? Like, why do you have to ignore the amazing, already established, like original? That's the thing that killed it. So it's always a depending type of thing.
And like a ton of those movies just bomb. Like anytime that identity politics get too steeped in things, and I think it might have been good. Like a lot of the times, I think that especially the new wave feminist movies, they just alienate 50% of their target audience. Like if you're just going to completely alienate men from watching your movie, then your box office isn't going to be as big. But like, I don't know. Looking in the past, it doesn't seem that there's a glass window that needs to be shattered right now. There have been tons of badass women in movies and film that haven't been the damsel in distress, and I'm not sure why that history's been more or less just like erased, just glossed over. Like, no, that didn't happen. Now we need to. Now really there's been an oppression,
and it's almost like, and I brought it up to people. Like, there's even like my film class. Like, there's one time where it's like, there's no women directors. There needs to be more women directors in film. And I'm just like, have you heard of this lady? Have you heard of Patty Jenkins? Have you heard of blah blah? Have you heard of this? And like, it's so annoying. Like, it's like I can name a million fucking amazing female directors. And it's like, do your fucking work. Or it's just, it's so weird to me. Like it's like it has to be a big blockbuster for it to make everyone happy. Like for some stupid reason, I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, and a lot of the time I don't really know who's directed a movie unless it's a really good movie, and then I'll go and look at the directors. It's not as if I'm going to films that only have male directors. There was a Bill Burr. Bill Burr was walking out of a comedy show one day, and there's this video of a lady running up to him, and she keeps on asking him why there aren't any female comedians. And Bill Burr says, nobody cares what's between your legs. Like, if you go out and kill every single night, nobody's going to care if you're a male or a female.
Yeah.
Go and kill every single night, and you'll be successful. Nobody cares.
It's so true. And that's the one, and like that's the part where I don't even like. Again, like you heard like to almost not even like think about, because I like, to me, you just said Alien and Terminator 2 are just fucking amazing movies, amazing action films. It's just, I don't even think twice about the fact she's a woman. Like, who really gives a shit? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, they're badasses. It's a kick-ass film. Boom. It's like, I don't need to write an essay about how she's a strong woman, and it's just weird to me. Like, what does it do? But like, and it's just so weird, and it's almost it gets so ignored. And a great example, same year as Ghostbusters, the female that came out was Annihilation. You seen that one with Natalie Portman?
Yeah.
It like super well done, super smart, all starring females, who are in roles of scientists, very smart females. And then, it's everything that these people fucking want in the movies, and it then bombs at the box office.
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck you for complaining about there's going to be no movies for female led, because you're not going to go see them. Like, that's the one. It's just so annoying. Like, there are a million movies like this that come out every year that people complain that there isn't a movie of, but because they don't see it. Like, that's what gets me.
Yeah, go vote with your dollar. It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, literally, that's it. Like, that's the biggest thing, is voting with your dollar. It's like, and this thing with like black filmmakers, it's like, what the hell? There's like every year there's a black movie and black filmmaker out. Like, why is it all of a sudden this thing about there's no black filmmakers? Like, what the hell? Like, I can name a billion black filmmakers like for you. Like, it's so crazy to me. Maybe it's because like I'm a film head, but it's like, yeah, it's just like people complain, but they don't know what they're complaining about.
I was going to say, I think that's what ends up happening, is that people have a priori of what they believe, and they don't try to disconfirm that bias at all. They just go out and find well, first off, I don't even think people go off and try to find things that confirm their bias, but they just say that their bias is true without looking into it. And yeah, like you said, you know far more than I do, and the fact that you can name like female directors and black storytellers, it's I hope that the identity politics and everything stops. And I don't think that equality of outcome in every single thing is going to happen, and I don't think that that's exactly what we want. If we want the best storytellers, then we probably just want the best storytellers, not the best black or female storytellers, or Asian, or even white. Like, I don't care if it's. I look at the music industry, and that's been largely black led since the colonial founding of America. It's just been black people coming up with revolutionary music time and time again.
Exactly.
And I've never looked at music and said, well, we need more white people creating different types of music. I don't think that exactly I don't think that gives music the best opportunity to flourish. If I'm saying only these people are allowed to work on this, and if anybody else does, then it's racist, or it's sexist, or it's any of those things.
Exactly. And like the whole thing too of like, yeah, it's just calling it that stuff too. Like, like black, like just even saying black movies, like it's black person movie. It's like, maybe it's just like, it is important for people to have, a black movie, but it's like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't have white movies. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe because we'll say, that's because that's all movies. Since the beginning of time, it's always been white. But it's like, I don't know.
I saw an interview with Keegan Peele. I think that's his name. Keegan
Jordan Peele.
The director. Sorry, not Keegan. Keegan's the taller guy, right?
Yeah. The one who did Get Out. You're talking about?
Yeah. He has an interview where he talks about like he doesn't want to do white movies. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to know what that does mean, because that's interesting to me.
And like, because the thing I really liked about it, that's so weird, is like, the thing I liked about his movies too is like, well, kind of Get Out, because it was about being black, but it's like, it wasn't explicitly just like about being black, if that makes sense. Like, I guess it was an undertone of like about racism, but it wasn't like, hey, I'm black. You know what I mean? Like a lot of movies will do, or beat you over the head with it. And same with Us. Like, I thought Us worked. I really liked Us.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually watched that a bit ago. And then it also had a bit of undertones of like racism, but it wasn't explicitly like, beating you over the head. I felt with it.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's I go to movies to be entertained. If it's a good movie, then I'll like it, and I'll keep seeing the director or the whoever the writer is. But I don't know, if it's a bad movie, I don't want to go see it. Like I don't really like Star Wars anymore. I don't really want to go and watch any more Star Wars stuff, because they really botched the new movies. Yeah.
I'm done. Actually, I watched The Mandalorian, and that shit was fucking amazing. So.
Mandalorian was sweet. That was tight.
Yeah. That's the annoying part, man, with Disney. It's like, I get so tired, and then one thing will come out and it's phenomenal. I'm like, okay, you reeled me back. Like, but then they do one more thing, and you're like, oh fuck, Disney, come on.
Yeah. Mandalorian also didn't shoehorn in any identity politics. They were pretty clean with it. It was just a story about a bounty hunter.
Until the second season, and then they needed their fan service.
Yeah, you got to bring that in.
Luke, yay! Yeah.
Finally, a version of Luke that's not new.
I know Luke. I remember Star Wars. It's like, what the fuck was the point of that shit? I hated that so much. Sorry, like, what do I am ranting about Mandalorian? It's like literally everything was perfect, and then you have fucking Luke show up. Hey guys. Sorry.
You got to get the fan service in, man.
You gotta. It was just so weird. It's like, what did this again? Like what? What? Yeah. Star Wars.
Hey, I'm curious. Do you listen to yourself when you rap?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Did you find that tough to begin with?
Somewhat. It is tough, but it's like it still is tough, but like it's just how stuff you have to kind of get over. And like I don't know if I think I kind of knew that from the start because I've always had that issue, especially with like video. It's just like not liking my voice on video, but it's just like you have to get past that kind of thing. And like yeah, and then just trying to tweak it a bit to whatever you think kind of sounds good. Yeah, I'll do multiple takes, of course, but yeah. But then sometimes it is literally just you have to just release it, like, or just finish it type of thing.
Yeah, so, you got to put it out.
Yeah.
And what would you say your support network is like for your creative endeavors, creating music and creating video content? I listened to your song Ghost, and that seems to have the theme of moving away from people that don't support you and kind of building in with people that do.
Yeah. Like what about it? Sorry.
Well, what was your creative process for that? What's you're touching on a lot of themes, and so how do you cultivate a community around you that supports you, and how do you step away from people that don't?
So like kind of just mainly because like I guess that it kind of helps them like very vocal about things, or like, and also like I like to show that I'm, or what is it? I guess I it's kind of obvious the things that I'm passionate about sometimes. So like people I will find what gravitate towards that, which I kind of like, which is good, and like I kind of do like make sure I do incorporate that, and that's why I do love making these like remix songs, because it's like yeah, people will listen sometimes if it's just, and it is annoying, but a thing they like, that's again pre-established or something, but then I can show them my interpretation of that, or just a cool thing to listen to that based off of something they might have liked, like the Zelda or whatever, right? Like so little things like that, or Star Trek song I have, right? Or, and to me it's just interesting too, like really how many you don't see the big overlap, and it's really interesting actually, especially on Reddit. Like there's not a huge overlap of hip hop fans and Star Trek fans. So like it is very interesting seeing the reception of that and being like, damn, this song slaps, or like I don't know jack shit about Star Trek, or it's like the vice versa, like I don't like hip hop, but this is awesome, or and then like, or then you will get those random mixes of like, oh, this is like people who are like me, who like both, like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting, and yeah, it does help, but yeah, I guess like yeah, mainly just I think just the fact that I'm more vocal about things, and like to show that, yeah.
How do you market yourself in that sense? You just talked about Reddit a little bit, and you are quite active on YouTube. So how did you get into marketing yourself? I guess you have prior experience with all of the YouTube and movie making that you did when you were younger, but how is that? Yeah, you go.
There's just a lot of research, I guess, like as a marketing, like you do have to take that stuff serious if you are, yeah, you just, if you want to take stuff serious, you have to take it serious, because in a way, but like I don't kill myself over it in a way like some people do. Like you can't like worry about it, but you have to like lean into it, like, you know what I mean? Like algorithm, I guess, like work with the algorithm, but don't let it be, take you down or beat you.
Right.
Because that's the annoying part is, yeah, it's YouTube, man. Like the algorithm crap, I just hate that. I hate it. But you do have to do it a little bit and understand it, like thumbnails and blah blah blah, descriptions, and it's just so weird to me. Like,
Yeah.
but it works. And yeah, just it is time consuming, but like Reddit and stuff like that. But to me, it's also kind of fun. Like, just putting it out there for little things, and that's why it does help with these remix tapes where I can throw it to thousands of Star Trek forums or stuff like that, and and then they find and then I like their music or whatever, or a video game, I can put it in the Zelda subreddit, or if there's a streamer I watch that plays Zelda, then I'll be like, hey, check out this song, and then so it's just like you get all these different avenues and different niches of people, and especially on the internet, like just there's so many of them, right? So I just found that really helpful, starting with like small groups, because I'm small as fuck. I don't know, you gotta start off small, so you can't just be hitting up those big subreddit, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna get anywhere, and that's why it's so hard on YouTube, because people, I think, or anywhere, they don't think about this. You gotta one big thing too, especially with a lot of things, you have to do those smaller goals to reach the big goals. That's another thing I kind of learned, is like really set super fucking small. Like, I want to get 10 views on this song or 10 plays. Like, set realistic goals. Don't be like, this song is gonna get 1,000 hits, man. Whoa, 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 whoa. Like that shit. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna feel better about yourself, and it's definitely gonna like be better in your music too. Like, I don't know. That makes sense. Like, set realistic goals for what you want to set, or like little things, like set there. I want to release a song a week or something like that, or a song a month. I don't know. Stuff like that helps.
And what's, just to wrap this up, what are you going into in the future? What ideas do you have for yourself?
Just mainly more music, and trying to more music videos and stuff. I kind of want to do more visual kind of stuff. But let's see where it goes. Been working on some new albums and stuff like that, and pretty much it.
Where can people find you?
Young Kazi everywhere.
Young Kazi.
Young Kazi at Young Kazi at Young Kazi. What's
the name of your YouTube channel? Because that's not Young Kazi, is it?
Oh yeah, I guess I have like 2 channels. So there is Young Kazi, which is just like I've been releasing everything chronologically, and then there's Film Trek as well. So that's like our new releases, and then just random stuff, short films, memes, whatever, music videos. Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks a lot for coming on, man. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's been great. Yeah. Nice seeing you again too.